You know what? I'm out of here. I am never going back to my family. I don't want to deal with them ever again. Walking away from your family is a really big deal. It's a serious commitment. It's a complex process because you're not just saying to your family verbally or behaviorally, I'm stepping away, I'm throwing in the towel, I've tried all that I could, and now I feel like I have to leave you alone. It is a process by which not only you, but your family has to figure out how to navigate this whole process. There are no specified steps, direction, guidance, and even resources for people who decide to leave their family alone. Once you leave your family alone, it's going to be you, me, and I. A lot of people believe that estrangement or walking away from family and sometimes even friends, not having either of them in your life is this easy process where you just say, you know what, I'm not talking to you ever again. It's really not that simple because you've got to go through a psychological and emotional process. So how do you navigate this? What is going on and how should you see this? What do you do when you walk away from your family and all you know is that you need peace of mind, you need a healed heart, you don't want to deal with this anymore, whatever that may be, because it's weighing your soul down, it is taking your joy, and it is making life really difficult on you. And that is the moment by which you are on this really long path where you're going to have to go through some twists and turns until you feel comfortable, until you feel happy, until you feel like you have 100% gone free. So because this is a lot and there's so much to get to in this conversation, you definitely want to keep on watching. When I look at the research on family estrangement, one of the things that I notice is there is no duration of time when it comes to family estrangement. Family estrangement could be 6 months, 12 months, 20 months, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. There's really no research-based calculated length of time. It's a process by which you have made one decision, which is I'm making the decision to leave you alone because I don't see any other options to make life less complicated for me and sometimes for you. And so I've decided to leave you alone. I'm going over here to live my quiet individual life without you. Now, some family members cycle in and out of estrangement. So you may have gone over there, but then you may go back for the holidays and then leave again. You may go back for a death in the family and then leave again, right? And I professionally do not believe that that's a healthy thing. Once you say I'm out of here, you're out of there, right? You shouldn't be going back because it's just going to take your mind and your heart and your soul through, once again, what you've been through before. But some of the research does suggest that people cycle in and out of family estrangement. It can be a very tricky process. Family estrangement is very intentional. It's a discontinuation of the family relationship. It's a discontinuation of the bond between two people. It's a breakthrough, right? And for a lot of people, it's you breaking free. You don't want to be a part of that complex process anymore. And navigating the process means taking the right steps to go from point A to point Z. And you have to be able to understand that those steps are not going to be easy ones. It's not going to be an A, B, C, D step or a 1, 2, 3, 4 step. It may be a 1 and a 3, a 1 and a 20 step. You know, you're going to see your life and your emotions and your mind fluctuating throughout this entire process. What are some of the things that you may be struggling with? Well, when I get that question in my office, Tamara, what am I going to be struggling with when I say goodbye to my family? When I say goodbye to my friends? I always mention the psychology of existential loneliness. Basically what that is it's 3 different things. One, it's what we call transient loneliness. And that's a coming and a going kind of loneliness. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. And you may find that most of the time you enjoy your alone time. Most of the time you need that time to process. And you need that time to experience. And that is totally fine. But other times you may find that you are desperately yearning for somebody to be a part of your life, to make an impact on your life, to have some kind of connection to you. Loneliness could last for a really long time. We don't have a research-based or data-based answer for how long transient loneliness can be. There's also what we call situational loneliness, which means there may be certain situations in which you are lonely, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you are lonely all the time. Maybe I'm lonely during the holidays. Maybe I'm lonely on my birthday, but every other time I'm not that lonely and I can handle it. It's just when those few times a year pop up, I feel really lonely. There's also chronic loneliness, which means I am chronically lonely all the time. I'm away from friends. I'm away from family. I barely talk to my coworkers, and I just don't want to deal with anybody. But at the same time, I yearn for somebody's attention and their love and affection towards me. You can experience all three of these. Can you believe that? You can experience all three of these throughout your life path, right? And also, if you decide never to go back to your family, if you decide to block everybody out, you can experience transient loneliness, situational loneliness, and chronic loneliness all throughout the rest of your life. And it isn't an abnormal thing. It's a pretty normal thing. Now, let's say, for example, you've decided I'm going no contact. I don't want friends to know where I'm at. I don't want my family to know where I'm at. I'm done with everybody. Let's say you're going no contact, or you have gone no contact because you don't want to deal with your narcissistic parents. Once you walk away, you're likely to cause what we call, one, a narcissistic injury if you're dealing with narcissistic parents, or narcissistic collapse. Narcissistic collapse, here it is right here on the screen. It may occur when the narcissistic individual, the parent, begins to have this emotional reaction to their inflated sense of self. So let's say you've walked away and you've said, I want nothing else to do with you. Don't contact me. Just you saying that can cause a narcissistic collapse in your parent. Why? Because you don't walk away from me and tell me not to do A, B, and C. You don't walk away from this family. Who gave you the right to walk away from this family? I've done everything I can for you, and I've helped you, and I've paid your way through things, and I've spent this on A, B, and C while you were in school. How dare you pay me back with this? Right? I mean, we can go down a whole list of examples of what that narcissistic parent is likely to say. But a collapse is an emotional reaction to the truth. It's, I'm making you face the truth of who you are by going no contact, by leaving you alone. When that happens, you want to be aware of the reality that they may try to hit you back. They may try to make you feel like you've collapsed emotionally and psychologically. And they may do some really ugly things, like pit siblings against each other, or report things that you've said to them in private to the whole entire family. It's not just, I'm slamming a door, leave me alone. Because you're going to have to deal with a lot of backlash. You're going to have to be strong enough to deal with the rumors and the incorrect perceptions of reality. You may experience what we call, in the midst of all of this, an existential crisis. You are in an existential crisis where you begin to question the fundamental value of life and freedom and meaning. You know, it's like, I'm dealing with all of this chaos. I just want them to leave me alone. And now that I want them to leave me alone and I've walked away, now I'm questioning all my life decisions. Now I'm feeling a little bit guilty. Now I'm feeling a little bit of existential discomfort. I can't really rest. I'm restless and I don't know what to think of all of this. So what are some common issues that you may find yourself dealing with once you decide to walk away from family and friends? The first thing is empowerment. We're going to start with the positive. Empowerment and individuation. Empowerment and individuation kicks in the moment you realize that I no longer talk to them, I no longer miss them, I no longer want anything to do with them. Is that the right decision you've made for your life? I don't know. I wish we had those answers, right? You're going to have to give it a little bit of a test run and see maybe over time if you made the best decision. You may also deal with stalking and harassment. Now, family members or close family friends or even friends or a romantic spouse that sees you've gone no contact, they most definitely can stalk you. They can cyber stalk you. They can stalk you just in person, right? Going to your job, going to the same grocery store as you go to, meeting you on your front porch, even doing things like blowing your phone up with text messages and emails and social media posts, just trying to figure out where you are. You can experience fatigue, burnout, and even suicidal thoughts because it's so much pressure coming at you. It's so many opinions coming at you. It's so many ideas that are incorrect coming at you. Naturally, the body and the mind says, oh my God, I can't deal with this. I'm kind of crumbling underneath all this pressure. You may feel like there is absolutely no way out. I've walked away, and yet you're blowing up my phone, emailing me, trying to run into me in public places. You're getting other family members to be involved in this issue, and it doesn't involve them, but you're getting them involved. And so now I'm feeling pretty trapped in my environment. You may also experience fluctuating emotions. One day I hate them. Next day I love them. Next day I just miss them. Next day, and you're going to be on this roller coaster ride for quite some time. There's intense family projection that is also likely to happen in these families. Unfortunately, when you go no contact, that means that not only your parents and your sibling, but the entire family wants to know what happened, right? And so they may start projecting onto you things that do not rightfully belong to you, but that's the only sense that they can make out of the situation. You may feel some explosive emotions, right? You may be very angry and hostile towards them because you want them to leave you alone. Clarification of individual readiness. And it says, I didn't know if I was ready, but now I feel ready. And you kind of get this reassurance over time that I am ready to say goodbye. You may notice this existential loneliness creeping into your everyday life, right? So the situational loneliness, the transient loneliness, the chronic loneliness, and you may find that it comes back to you every day. You go to bed, you wake up, it's back. You go to bed lonely, you wake up lonely. There are 4 things that I tell my families who are dealing with this to kind of consider. One, and this will buffer you from depression, anxiety, loneliness, isolation. Really what you want to do is this. Number 1, you want to keep in mind that this is a choice that you've made. You weren't forced to do it. You were not bent into doing this. You were not scared into doing this. It is something that you felt you needed to do for your sanity and your emotional stability. So it's a choice. The second thing you want to keep in mind is that you are being very intentional with how you are leading your life. You've made a decision, which is intentional. You've gone ahead and you've taken the steps, which is intentional. Now you're trying to live out your plan, and that's intentional. You have this balance now because your life is what you need it to be. So your ultimate goal is balance, right? And then 4th, there are individual differences when it comes to going no contact. Maybe you're going to be stronger than cousin BB over there who tried to go no contact but had to go back home because she lost her job and couldn't pay her rent. So how do you manage this? This is difficult, right, guys? How do you manage this? Well, here's what I say to clients that see me and they want to go no contact with, or they already have. The first thing, and research backs this up, the first thing is establish, hold, and enforce boundaries. Establish, hold, and enforce boundaries. They are not to send several emails that look to be about 5 pages in a book. They are not going to argue with you on social media because you're not going to be feeding that drama wheel, because that's what it is. It's drama making, crazy making, as they say. You need to hold. Once you establish, you need to hold and enforce boundaries. Connect with others. Connect with others. My neighbors are like my friends. My coworkers are like my sisters. My boss over there is like my father. You can pull other people into your world to make it what it needs to be. Practice cognitive diffusion. You're having all these negative thoughts. Practice pushing those negative thoughts away, pushing them back into zero consciousness, right? Practice saying to yourself, I will not give in to my negative thoughts. You also want to establish some understanding of existential dread, because you're going to wake up one day or maybe your eyes will become open someday and you'll say, you know what, I've been doing this all myself. I have been doing this on my own without anybody to love me or show me compassion or empathy or even security. I've done this on my own. Understand what true closure means. Most people think that true closure means going to your loved one saying, I'm going no contact, adios amigo. No. True closure may entail walking away and never talking to them again. Walking away, never allowing them to pull you into more fights and arguments. walking away and blocking your phone number, walking away and moving across the country. Closure can be in different forms. More of a continual dynamic process, right, where you get closure a little bit over time, or it can be a static kind of closure where you say goodbye or you hang up that phone and never call them back again. Try a support group in psychotherapy. I can't leave that out. Find a really good trauma therapist. Find a really good family therapist. Dedicate yourself to personal growth. Make sure that you constantly learn. Learning should be fun. It should be evolving. It should be, continually something that is happening in your world. You never want to stop learning. You also want to adjust your financial needs. So when you go no contact, don't expect your car note to be paid by grandma. Don't expect your uncle to continue to pay your mortgage, right? Be ready to just cut the string when you decide to walk away from someone or from a family. Or you're trying to live with your decision of having already done it. You don't want to be financially dependent on that person. That isn't right. It's not fair to them and it's not fair to you. Keep in mind that this is self-preservation. When you look back over why you wanted to go no contact or the people that you've separated from, you have to keep in mind your purpose and your meaning. And that means I did this because of A, B, and C. And keep that in the forefront of your mind. Sometimes we can forget why we walked away. And then we go off feeling guilty and lonely and just angry and upset and not knowing what to do. But the reality is it's self-preservation. You felt that was the only choice that you had and you moved forward with that. Your family may be forgiving and maybe one day you come back together. That would be a beautiful thing. But I often encourage my clients not to depend on that. So refuse to be labeled. Other people are going to say, you're a bad daughter, you're a bad son, how dare you? They're going to call you all kind of things. Hear it, but don't hear it. Right? I know you said it, but it's not going to seep inside my heart and my soul. I know why I'm doing this. I feel that I have a really good purpose for doing this. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not being rude to anybody. I'm not being, exploitive to anyone. I'm not exploiting anyone. So I'm just walking away and let me walk away. So if you want them to kind of receive that energy from you in that way, refuse to be labeled. Just keep moving. You don't have to respond to every text. You don't have to respond to every email. You don't even have to pick up the phone. Find your peace. Is that on Barber Lane down the street where there's nothing but farmhouses? Is that way out in the country with a bunch of cows and sheep and goats and horses? You've got to find your peace. Is that in my Bible every day of my life? Is that exercising? Is that making YouTube videos? Whatever the case may be, find your peace. You also want to be ready for the societal perception that you're going to get. That's going to hit you, how society looks at estrangement and how society looks at having no one in your life, how society looks at not inviting people into your social realm or your emotional realm, right? The world has their perception of that, and it's going to be a negative perception. So be ready for that. Not only do you want to worry about society, but you also want to, worry about your family as well, because they're going to have a view of what you've done. This is what I've decided to do. It's a choice. It was intentional. I did it to balance my life. And I'm an individual with emotions, and I deserve to do what is going to make me feel better. Come see me Friday and Saturday live. I'm going to continue to talk about this. I hope to see you then. Bye-bye.